Spurs. I'm Sarah Kustak in for Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer, Cris Carter. That's Nick Wright.
Good to see you, Sarah. You look lovely. I like that color.
I was
like
thinking
that
about you two. Those are sharp suits.
I don't know if it shows up on TV, but there's a little bit of Viking purple pinstriping in that. It's one of your my favorite suits of yours, CC.
Yeah, my high school colors were purple too.
High school?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Oh, when you flip up, we could see.
Oh, a
nice.
9. There you go. Good looking suit, brother. Good to see you this morning.
Let's give the people what they want.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Looking fresh? Let's get to it. The Kawhi Leonard saga has taken another turn. He's reportedly been in New York during the All-Star break seeking a second opinion on his injured quad. This, despite being medically cleared to return. Greg Popovich was asked about the whole situation. Take a listen.
Well, we only have X number of games left in the season, and he's still not ready to go. And, if by some chance he is, it's going to be pretty late into the season, and it's going to be a tough decision, how late you bring somebody back. So that's why I'm just trying to be honest and logical. I'll be surprised if he gets back this year.
Whew. Nick, how bad have things gotten between Kawhi and the Spurs?
Well, as Cris has taught me, it's very important to listen to the exact words these guys are saying. Sometimes we just throw away the press conferences, it's coach speak, whatever it is. I want to read the exact quote you just heard part of it. It's going to be a pretty tough decision how late to bring somebody back. So what he is saying there is, it is not simply, will Kawhi just say himself, I'm ready to go. But there's a date Greg Popovich has in mind that if he is not ready to go by this date, he's not coming back even if he wants to. And that is jarring information for a top 8 player in this league, for a guy who had a lot of MVP buzz, and for a team. It's not like the Spurs, well, we're in 12th place, we're not going to make the playoffs, maybe we just shut them down. They're the 3 seed right now. Right now there are 5 teams in the league overall with a better record than them. With a healthy Kawhi Leonard, they are a true championship contender. Maybe not top tier, but certainly the top of the second tier. And then you read the great reporting from Adrian Wojnarowski, where he says in his lead, Kawhi Leonard bears the burden of determining when he's prepared to play again. So I don't think it is reaching. I don't think it is hard, logical math to say. What Greg Popovich is saying is our doctors have cleared you. You have now done something that is very atypical for any Spur. You've left our cocoon to go to New York to get a second opinion. It is about when you clear yourself. And this is, to me, Greg Popovich telling Kawhi Leonard through the media, listen, if you think the idea is, because he's been reportedly a little disgruntled in San Antonio, if the plan is with a week left in the season to say, I'm good to go for the playoffs, you might not be able to do that. And that is very different than this entire saga, CC, has been very different than anything I'm used to seeing out of that organization.
Right. Pop said a few things in the interview, one being that Kawhi has been cleared, but if he continues to not play, well, he said also he's not ready. He's not ready. He's been cleared, but he's not ready. It means Kawhi's not ready in his mind to resume normal basketball activity. He also revealed that if it continues on, there is a drop-dead date, that Kawhi will lose the option where he's in control, and I'm going to pull the plug on the season. The other thing that the irony to it was they were in a similar situation like this when David Robinson got hurt. It's not as if they tanked. He was just hurt, and they end up getting Tim Duncan, which changed the franchise. It's not one of those kind of situations. If they were the 12th seed or something like that, we could see something like this happening. The medical staff in San Antonio has proven itself over years to be one of the best in the business, and their overall approach has been one of the most conservative. When they have guys coming back, they have done a great job of, you know something, we will miss on the side, on the precautionary side, and hold the player out. Also, as far as Pop was the first coach to start resting players. That's why they had to change the NBA season, because Pop has always been just ahead of the norm in the league. So I think this to be a tall tale sign I believe it's also one of those signs that eventually you wake up in the morning, you read, it's a divorce. This couple, man, they lived next door to us. They did look like they were happy. Yeah, they end up splitting. I believe these are the types of things that we could see moving forward. And I believe that this press conference is just an ongoing thing that eventually this is going to end in a bad way.
The 1 year early in his career that Tim Duncan missed significant time, he had a meniscus injury in his knee. And Greg Popovich made it, they had already won a championship with Duncan, and people were curious as to why Duncan wasn't going to come back at the tail end of the season for the playoffs. And Popovich, he was asked about defending the title or winning a second title, and he said, very intelligently as it turned out, we're not worried about winning one more title with Tim Duncan. We want to have a number of titles with Tim Duncan. They were cautious with his knee. They did not clear him. And they ended up that was the worst year in the playoffs as far as in the Duncan era early on. They ended up winning 4 more titles. The key is they've cleared Kawhi. And it's not a knee. It's a quadricep injury. So it's less, tell me if I'm out of bounds here, you have less concern about doing long-term career damage when it's a muscle, when it's a quadricep tendon, than if it was, we're worried if his knee's going to give out. If it was something like that. When you add to that what was the reporting earlier, which was earlier this year, kind of out of nowhere.
Yes.
Kawhi Leonard's not happy. You add to that LaMarcus Aldridge went to the team this summer and said, trade me.
Yes.
There is a lot of drama in San Antonio, the likes of which we are not used to.
And now it's changing because, to your point about them being a cautious organization, back on January 13th, Kawhi tried to come back. He played a couple games. They shut him back down on January 13th. And that was still the dialogue, that his rehab, we want to spend a little more time with rehab. It's not progressing as we want it to. So we're going to have him shut down, take a step back, and see how that goes. Now it's very different. It's not. There was nothing in Greg Popovich saying that we're being cautious.
Right now we're talking about the injury. They are being cautious. But if the athlete is not comfortable, it's hard to put the athlete on the court, and especially when he has control. What does Kawhi gain by playing, right? If he's not healthy, if he doesn't. Now it's an odd injury as far as a quad. That's why I know Kawhi. I know the people who handle Kawhi. So I know this is not something fictitious. Like, I believe there is something there, but also I believe that Kawhi is not happy in San Antonio. People think, well, San Antonio's a great place. I believe Kawhi is worried about not being able to get potential free agents. When people were looking to go places, they don't look to San Antonio. Yeah, they got LaMarcus Aldridge, but he wasn't one of the top free agents. They had to settle on him, and he wanted out of San Antonio this offseason. So for me, I believe there's something that will come about as far as his shoe deal. He's with Brand Jordan now, and as we get more and more information, I think we're going to find out that he's disgruntled or he's not happy with that contract, because he's one of the lowest paid superstars from a shoe deal. So is he looking to get out of San Antonio, get to a bigger market, get with another shoe company? Like, I believe all those things are on the board.
And and you look at the guys who would be considered the top 6 players in the league by most people. LeBron has an enormous shoe deal. Everyone knows what LeBron's shoes are. KD famously has shoes with words on them. He's got his controversy surrounding his shoes. Steph has the Under Armour deal. Whether people like those Under Armour shoes or not, it's an enormously lucrative deal. Russ. I was just down 125th Street in Manhattan, where they used to have, at this House of Hoops store, an entire wall of Jordan display. It is now the new Russ shoe. Why not? His newest shoe. So there's that. And then the 5th player that I'm forgetting on the list is Kawhi Leonard. Pardon me. Kawhi Leonard. James Harden. He has an enormous deal with Adidas. And then there's Kawhi, who is in that group of players.
How much money does Harden make with Adidas?
He got a $200 million shoe deal. And
I think approximately Kawhi makes about $2.5 million with Jordan Brand.
Think about that. James Harden is making upwards of $30 million a year from Adidas. Kawhi Leonard, who a lot of people, I don't live in this world, this camp, but a lot of people do. A lot of people think Kawhi is better than Harden. They're certainly very close to each other.
Yes.
To have, what's that, 8% of what Harden has? Like, that would rub people the wrong way. We do a weird thing. It's the same thing people did. It reminds me of Marvin Harrison. People assigned Marvin Harrison character traits based on one thing. He's quiet, doesn't celebrate. hands the ball to the ref. People assigned Kawhi Leonard. You had who he was in your head. And I'm not saying who he is or who he isn't, but we made him out to be someone very specific because he's quiet, because he's not demonstrative. And people are like, oh, why would Kawhi Leonard care about shoe money? Because everybody cares about shoe money. Because everybody cares about money. And so it's just, when you have all that bubbling up, and then you have, again, I think Greg Popovich sending a warning to Kawhi Leonard. Listen, if you're not back in the next few weeks, you're not back. That's very interesting for a team that was going to be a dark horse contender.
And we know with the Spurs organization, no player is bigger than the organization.
That is true.
That's how they operate. All right, we're taking a break, but coming up, LeBron James chimed in on reseeding the NBA playoffs, and you might be surprised by what he said. That's next on First Things First.
Did they call you before that?